Hi everyone, can you all hear me? I hope you can. I had some sound issues earlier. It is 7 o'clock on the dot, so I think we should get started. Maybe I might put my video on so you can see who's talking. Hi, my name's Laura. I'm the regional chair for the Durban IBA branch, and I just wanted to welcome everybody and say thank you for joining us. This is our second tools and techniques session. Last week was Joburg that hosted, and this week it's our turn. So I hope you enjoy the session. And before I hand over to one of our awesome volunteers from the Durban region, who, by the way, had her birthday yesterday, I would like to ask everybody a very quick question, and if you could put your answers down in the chat. Where are you all dialing in from? Sure, lots of Cape Town. Hi, Cape Town. Ermelo. Ah, Joburg, Durban, Matthew. Cape Town, Joburg, Cape Town. Wow, okay. Kind of even. Okay, great. Okay, guys, I'm going to hand over to Deborah now. And I'm going to stop my video. Deborah?
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Tonight, we have the privilege to welcome our speaker, Darshan Naidu. Darshan is a product manager with Pago, and he's been with us since I think he presented in 2019 during our IIBA summit. He's a product manager at Pago. He's got over 7 years of experience within the digital technology industry. He's worked through telecommunications, e-commerce, logistics, and etc. His focus is, building personal capacity on the job as a business analyst and as product owners. Tonight, we have the honor and the privilege to have him in our midst. Welcome, Darshan. We hope to learn from you tonight, and we're very, very sure that it's going to be a joy ride with you. All right, we're just going to set a few house rules before we get into the business with Darshan, into the workshop. Please, would like for you to stay mute during the course of this workshop or unless you want to talk. Please switch off your video. Only the presenter is allowed to turn on their video. We would only be having about, say, 45 minutes, session. And after the session, we're going to be taking question and answers. Please, if you have your questions, would like for you to start typing them into the chat box. It's going to be on a first come first serve basis. If we are not able to get to your question, then we would send them later on to Darshan. We'll collate your questions, send them, and make sure that they get back to you. You can connect with Darshan on LinkedIn. Darshan Naidu on LinkedIn is very open to connecting and to mentoring and to, whatever question you have about product development, product manager, engagement strategy for business, and even human behavioral psychology. Can you imagine that? He would be there to answer your question. Also, we would like for you to become a member of IIBA South Africa. Please kindly go to the websites that we have here, iibawildafrica.org, and join us. We have a lot of benefit. It defines your journey as a business analyst. It opens you up to, connections, to people you can just call on should you need a lifeline. For our next event, please visit the IIBA SA South Africa events page on Wild Apricot. We always make sure that we keep all our members updated and up to trend about the current tools and developments and techniques in the industry. If you would also like to present, you're very much welcome. We want to garner from your knowledge. We want to make sure that you take us along into your world and into your world of excellence. Please contact us on Durban at South Africa IHBA .org. We thank you for joining us, and we hope that you enjoy this presentation. Darshan, it's a privilege once again and an honor to have you with us tonight. And please take over from here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Deb. That was a very nice intro. I'm very happy to be here and obviously share with the community. So I hope that the session is going to be super informative to everybody that's on the call. I see a lot of familiar names, so welcome to everybody that joined, and yeah, to those that will join in the near future. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and you're going to just let me know in the chat if you are able to see that. There you go. And you should see a very familiar emoji. And if you can, great. Amazing. Cool. So let's get straight into it. So the reason that we're here is we would all love to learn about workshopping, and through the recent times we've seen from the IIBA that recently there has been a good combination between the business analysis role as well as the product owner role, and there has been lots of talks around it within the industry. So I'm a product manager at Pargo currently, so I recently joined Pargo, and we're doing some super amazing stuff within the tech logistics industry. And yeah, shout out to my company for being really cool, and thank you to the IIBA for allowing this opportunity, and to the amazing host Deb and Lara and Lalita as well. So the basis of this session is to take you guys through a practical approach on how to host a PM inspired workshop. So this is a product manager inspired workshop. And I'd like to obviously highlight like key areas in which we as product managers focus on. And I'd also like to sort of bridge the gap between how a business analyst would approach this and how a product manager would approach the workshop situation. So if you have any questions, there is a Q&A section within the Zoom window. So you can just pop your question in there and I'll be able to see it as well during the session. So the objective of this is I'd like to tell you why I've decided to host this workshop, and I'd like to share a practical approach to hosting a PM inspired workshop with a touch of BA. By the end of the session, I'd like for you to have a understanding of workshopping that can be used and applied to a business scenario that you'd be working on and developing. And how I'd like to position this workshop is sort of going to be almost a 25-minute presentation stint that I'm going to do. I'm going to allow questions and answers afterwards. And if you'd like to connect on LinkedIn, it's Darshan Naidu, and yeah, you'll see my nice Pargo logo there. You can find me via Pargo. So let's get straight into it. So this is a very important piece that I'd like to showcase. You would have seen this already on the internet, on LinkedIn, if you're keeping an eye on the interaction between a product manager and a business analyst. And as product managers, we focus on product related focus areas. So we've got our feature development, we work on product vision, we look at product marketing. We basically culminate that and bridge the gap between engineering and marketing. And we obviously use our skills within development and engineering to bring an amazing product to the end user. And the end user being the customer, and we're obviously super customer obsessed. If you talk to any product manager, they're always like, what customer value are we creating from the products that we're developing? We're always within the engineering team, backlog grooming with them, and product marketing, helping the product get to market successfully. And along with that, we've got a very amazing component that fulfills the role of a business analyst. And there are almost our wings to develop these amazing products. So business analysts will come in and help us with use cases, requirement gathering. They drop like these amazing process models for us that help us on user engagement, system optimization. They're very clued up with the system. And we sort of seen these two roles develop independently as two amazing disciplines. And over the recent years, we've seen that overlap between product managers and business analysts. And what you see in the middle of these two circles colliding is we started to understand a strategic dual discipline focus area where a product manager brings their amazing skill set of being very product focused, customer obsessed, feature driven, mobile tech ready, sort of within that space. And then the business analyst brings that very nice business component along with like their amazing risk and implementation strategies within the development team and working towards like nice use cases, understanding systems, and bringing those both things together obviously helps a business move forward. And what we've been seeing recently is that the product manager sometimes plays within the BA space, and the BA sometimes plays within the product manager space or product owner space. We see the product managers and business analysts writing user stories together, that obviously creating better user stories that the development team can understand. We see business analysts and product managers working toward a common product vision and strategy, and they're obviously using those cases to build up better products. Product managers and business analysts become very system focused, and they're obviously also very customer obsessed. So that's a nice merge between the product manager and the business analyst. And the reason for this session is to take you through the method of magic between how a product manager would run a workshop and ascertain all of these amazing artifacts from the business to create this nice product vision, this product strategy, and how the business analyst can obviously play along their strings and their strengths to enable the business to obviously become better at the products they develop. So I'm going to take you through a few steps that I'm going to go through the session. This is a very practical approach. So I'm using a tool called Miro or Miro. There's always a conversation on how to pronounce that. So this is going to showcase different steps within this journey that's been created. And there is certain elements that I'd like to highlight in which I use as a product manager in order to create the best workshop experience. So let's be aware that I'm going to be talking through these processes. So this is going to be a very the practical approach that I'm going to be showcasing to you. So bear in mind that case, and obviously whatever you take away from this, you can obviously take away pieces that mean something to you, and you can obviously implement that within your specific business area. So at the very beginning of a workshop, or even sort of like understanding that a workshop needs to be done from a product perspective, it's always around the what and the why for me as a product manager. And it's something that's very clear to me that in order for me to run a successful workshop, I need to understand the what and the why. So I need to always create a focus for my workshop. What am I aiming to achieve? What goal am I running to? And why am I doing this? Like, is there a specific business need? Is there research that needs to be done that I'm having this workshop? And who needs to be there? Like, what are the people that's going to be there that's going to create actual value in this workshop? So you don't invite every Tom, Dick, and Harry to the workshop because everybody just wants to come to a workshop, but you obviously select your key individuals that are going to create value. So it's nice to always have people from different disciplines, different stakeholders to get their input. And obviously the what and the why stage happens during your product prep workshop. So you're prepping this workshop. You can always use a method that you're comfortable with to showcase a goal. So in your head, you obviously need to have that goal in mind. So what are you doing this for and why are you doing it? So in this case, I've used the sailboat concept, which I'll take you through just now. and obviously, during the definition of the goal, it's very important to select your platform. So if your business currently uses Zoom, get the invite ready, send it on a nice email, and list an agenda as to why you're doing this and what is the reason and what would you like to achieve. Because, I mean, I wouldn't attend a workshop just because the name is cool. I want to know that I'm actually creating value by attending the workshop. And if I am, I'll attend. If not, I'll humbly decline to the user. So as I've mentioned, I'm using the sailboat approach. So I'm just going to scroll down here. And I'm sure most of you have seen this, if not all of you. So this comes through when we run sprint retrospectives on the certain items that help us move forward to our goal or our vision, what items are delaying us as a team, and the risks associated to getting there. So, I mean, you can obviously use something that applies to your business area. I mean, this is quite a nice looking picture. And so at Pago, we're very open to new ideas and working things differently. So having a little bit of color and pictures and imagery doesn't really matter to us. It's all about the creativity and value that we get from it. So obviously use something within your space that you find works best for you. So as you can see right on the top here is the goal. So what are we moving toward? And I've just did a little bit of work on these images throughout this track. So you'd see that the goal for this is obviously to get more customers and greater profits. And what's like, in order for us to get more customers and greater profit, what do we need to do? We've noticed some issues with communication. So we've got a goal for WhatsApp for Business. We've also noticed some integrity issues. So we've got a data integrity cleanup. So that's one of our company goals. We want to try and clean our data, and we want to get a seamless onboarding process. So this is obviously just a mock idea. So none of this is related to my current place of work. This is obviously just an example for the session. And obviously the win caters for what's going to help us get there. So yes, a good product owner, product manager, and a business analyst. We need a cool dev team and a testing team. It'll be nice to have dev consultants. And we obviously need to feature prioritize our work, because I mean, if we just continually have a bunch of features without correct prioritization and understanding what the market wants and what our customer wants, we'll be just developing tech that nobody uses or needs. Some anchors are things that would delay the team. So challenges or areas that are of concern. So you can highlight areas of, like, I've just highlighted unknown user journeys active. So we know that there's always some background mailer journey that's running that we don't know of, and then a customer complains and we see it. Legacy code base. A lot of us struggle with legacy code bases and transforming or migrating to newer code bases. Then we've got some risks. They can span across different departments. So I've got just legal and compliance and POPI. So those are things necessarily won't be posed as a risk, but it's something that we should be cognizant about. And if we do mess it up, it could serve as a hazard to our future development. So this basically looks at the goal setting. So you know your goal. You work with your workshop participants to build up the win and what they see as structures to help get to our goal, and obviously allowing them to add any delays or challenges that they feel and any risks that are associated. So I'm going to go to the second piece. So once the goal is defined, we're going to have to start on a positive note. So I've called this section Smile and Wave. So it's always nice to begin with something positive toward running the workshop. You have to be very happy about launching when you're wanting to launch a new feature, or having clean data, or you want to run this research project that somebody is really interested in running with your company. And obviously using that, you need to always use your goal to allow attendees to acknowledge certain strengths. So make sure that the goal is very clearly outlined so that attendees of your workshop know what the goal at hand is, and they can obviously add their helping stickies on your little sailboat board below, and get everyone involved, allow them the room to think, and remember to time the event. So that's very important. So you don't want to, in a workshop, use too much of time by just interactive banter. It's good, but I mean, you always have to make sure as a facilitator to bring the room back to where it needs to be. So I've added this help sticker here. It's very important as well to always have keys around your presentation. So you can see this little help sticker here relates to the helping items here that's going to push us toward our goal or our vision. So it's nice to reiterate that during the workshop session, because I mean, as the creator of the workshop, you know how this is going to run. You already know that the green means help, the green or the blue or the teal means help. That's something that needs to be communicated to your workshop attendees at all times. So it's important to keep reinstating the fact, okay, guys, you need to make sure that you're creating a green sticky note at the bottom. And if you're having a problem, ping us, and obviously be that facilitator to assist people. Ultimately, you're working toward getting a good output from the workshop. So once you understand those helping segments and you've identified amazing, good, positive areas in the business that can help get you toward your goal. So that's your amazing dev team, your amazing testing team, there's an amazing finance team to help us with commercials. You then need to unpack the problem. So again, look at the goal and start to now look at your problem identification. So identify the problem. So think of challenges or risks that are holding the company back from reaching the goal, and allow users to write that on a sticky note. And again, as mentioned, make your little stickies very clear as to what you want them to do. So I'm going to go down, and then we can see that the challenges are in orange, and our head of technology says, okay, I've noticed a little challenge, and that's the legacy code base. And we're going to need to start to unpack that because obviously that's a huge chunk of work. And what you also need to understand the impact associated to that. But obviously this workshop is to get those nice chunks out from those specific stakeholders. So once you start to know the problems, you obviously have the ability to start to check the problems and start to analyze those problems. So read all the challenges and the risk that has been written. You want to make everybody feel included and inclusive in your discussion. So make sure that all your stickies are read, and allow an opportunity to vote on sticky notes that capture the most critical challenges or risks that blocks us from the goal. So this is a very important aspect of the workshop, is where once everybody starts to add their sticky notes and open up a whole lot of room for discussion, because every business unit is just thinking about themselves and obviously eliciting problems that they are facing specifically in their department. It's very important to get the holistic view now, and that's what the workshop is for, to get everybody to give the answers, and then you as a facilitator enabling us to sort of like filter down what truly matters to the business, like what are the true challenges of the business. So once you have this, a lot of challenges that your business is facing, you use a process called dot voting. So there's different processes that you can use to vote. You can put emojis so that you can recognize people better. You can let people leave their name on the sticky that they've used. But something that I've noticed that works pretty well is dot voting. So dot voting allows the attendees to literally just click on a card. So within Miro, they have the ability to just click on a card and it votes there. Alternatively, you can add little nice voting dots on the right-hand corner where they can just pull that and then just add it onto that sticky. So I'm just gonna pull that dot there and add it onto the sticky. So making it sort of interactive for the wider business units to start and look to look at the problems more holistically. So yes, there is a legacy code base, but maybe the operations director is not so concerned about that. He's more worried about the customer journey or the customer emails that are going to them, and that's the sort of way you can gauge the common problem within the organization, the common challenges within the organization. So that's the sort of like checking and analyzing the problem. There is a little undercover operations person that sits behind the scenes. So another piece of the workshop component is to always have a little undercover guy that's supporting you behind the scenes. So that person's called like a moderator, co-host, and you should have the ability to talk them through your workshop idea before actually running the workshop, and showcasing pieces to them that you will need their assistance. So this moderator person is basically there to make sure that your workshop is running successfully. Nobody's moving things that they're not supposed to be moving. And they are also there to make sure that your voting process runs successfully, because as a facilitator, you're talking through the event and you're making sure that people are actively participating and listening and being engaged. And this moderator is there to ensure that the community is engaged, and obviously collating the information. So this moderator is going to help you collate your votes whilst you could be talking about all of the challenges that you're facing as a business. And what happens is this moderator just basically lists your top 3 main problem areas. And they do this in preparation for you to come and talk about the preparation for the solution design. So as a product manager, you are focused on solution development or solution design and making sure that that piece is catered for. So in this case, you can see that the moderator helped me to identify the top 3 challenges that were listed on our sailboat after, the dot voting process. And that was customers cannot reach the support desk. There's a drop off when a profile is created, and there's somewhat a problem with duplicate accounts. So those were like the top 3 challenges that were assessed from the challenges that were listed by the various departments. And now within this exercise, you're able to see the top 3 business challenges. So at this point, you have the ability to look as a group, look at these problem areas, and start to almost solution design very lightly. This does not mean you're sitting and saying, okay, I'm going to look at the WhatsApp for Business API documentation right away, and I'm going to see the integration methods needed to use, and I'm going to speak to a developer today and make sure that we sign up for a WhatsApp for Business account. No, it doesn't mean that. This is basically looking at the challenge and listing the key areas that you could solution design within. So cannot reach support, customers cannot reach support. This could allude to bringing on WhatsApp for Business. We don't know the complexity of it. We don't understand how much of work it is. We don't know anything. That just sounds like a solution to our customer. We can bring through a chatbot in app. Amazing. It sounds great. I've seen it online, seen it on some of the apps. Why don't we do that? So this is allowing everybody within the room, whether they're technical or non-technical, to give in their input. We've also noticed as product managers that people have opinions, and it's very important for you to take note of that opinion and obviously understand what they're saying from their viewpoint. So don't be biased as a workshop facilitator. Make sure that everybody is well heard, and you're obviously ensuring that the session runs as smoothly as possible. So once your solution sort of mapping out is done, you go into the think right next sort of phase. And this phase allows you to think of those actual solutions now. So That's obviously going to be low effort and high impact. So that's something that product managers usually use. And we see features that have the lowest effort needed by a development team, that's going to have the highest impact value to the customer. And again, I'm going to constantly reiterate that you should always refer back to the workshop goal. So make sure that whatever solutions that you're looking at, you are building that solution to create, to make sure that you're ticking off your workshop goal. So you allow users to write solutions in sticky notes, and you encourage them and motivate them. So like we were talking about this WhatsApp for Business. Now, at this point, we can dive a little bit deeper into WhatsApp for Business, and we can start to solution the idea just a little bit more. So at this point, we can talk about, okay, we need to go and investigate the API documentation, or we need to go and research the applicability of WhatsApp for Business within our industry. How is banking using WhatsApp for Business? Is it possible for us to use it? Are our customers going to use it? That sort of questions, right? So this process allows for more interaction around the solution design process. And I've taken another little sticky from previous that I've listed, creating the sign up journey. So you can go a little bit deeper into this. So not at the super granular level. You obviously still keep it, in usable chunks that people understand, but actionable chunks that can be readable and obviously can be worked on. So for creating a sign-up journey, you'd probably want to look at the current as-is processes that your system is running. You probably want to start getting marketing to look at the competitors and make sure that we are either aligning to the competitor or we're doing something greater than the competitor. You also want to try and engage with your UX designer to sort of understand the current trends and what's the practices currently for customer communications. And you'd probably also want to chat to one of your developers that almost has a keen eye for design and sort of get their viewpoint on what do you think of mobile emailers versus desktop mailers. So that's just almost conversation starters that you should have. So in this case, it wouldn't be actual work items like tickets for a developer to go and investigate this problem, almost just the solution building phase, right? Making it as clear to build out that amazing solution as possible. So once the solution is outlined at the bottom, you get to the point where you allow your workshopping team to start voting on these aspects. So again, you can follow the dot voting system. So let's talk about that sign up journey again. You want UX to investigate options that are currently on the market. Like, how are we positioning ourselves from a UX perspective to communicate to the customer in a very sophisticated way? And the entire workshop team can be like, amazing, we think that's should be on the first priority to do. Like, before we start to design, let's do some research to understand how the current landscape is doing this, how current competitor landscape is doing that. And obviously this gives you, as the workshop facilitator, the ability to see what's important to the business. What's important to the business's heart. So they want research to be done on a customer journey for a sign-up process. And then as a product manager or business analyst, you can look at it as an element to obviously look at, from a business analysis perspective, the technical implementation of that. And then as a product manager, the customer experience, because obviously product managers are customer obsessed. So once that voting process is done, you get the ability now to pick, choose, and refuse. So your moderator comes back onto the playing field, and he or she helps you to collate all your ideas. So he brings all of those multiple dot voted items into a space where you can now line them up and align them toward an impact effort graph. So as a stakeholder, as well, with the workshop stakeholders, you can quickly assess the impact of the solution. So involve business in these decisions. So this is a workshop again. So you must make sure that everybody is involved and feel like they're a part of it, and ask sales how they feel about a feature. And from their perspective, what do they think the impact or the effort would be from a business implementation perspective? And also assess that from a tech and ops perspective as well. So, and obviously you're going to place it along these lines. Obviously, higher the impact to consumer, and then higher the effort toward the right. So you can see here by now, you would have already have an idea of who should sort of be within your workshopping session. So you should have people from business. You should have people within tech. You should have somebody from ops. You should have a developer. You could, maybe you don't want to, could have a product manager, a business analyst. You need to have multiple people from different parts of the business that can bring value to the workshop. And how do you make sure that people are adding value is by exposing the agenda to them, making sure that you're clear on what you want to achieve from the workshop. And if somebody has a different viewpoint, they can obviously question you, and then you can give correct reasoning as to why they should be in the workshop. Cool. And then on this graph, there's obviously a sweet spot, as everyone knows. So you'd want to play in the high impact, low effort area. And this is a nice little donut box that's here. So from the dot voting process, you can see that CX research towards WhatsApp for Business has won. So the business has voted that we should do research to our competitors that use WhatsApp for Business. And we've identified as a quick solution to implement a plug and play chatbot from our current CRM. So we've seen that the CRM that we use has the ability to offer us a chatbot feature. And as a workshopping team, we've placed that on a high impact, low effort category. So that's definitely going to get us the touch to customer that we need. And it's going to sort of it aligns to our goal of ensuring that our customers can connect to the correct channel. So this graph specifically is a nice tool within the workshopping space. It gives the business and the related individuals within that workshop session the ability to see and have a constructive discussion within that session to understand, okay, cool. What do you think CX research is? Okay, business, marketing, it's high impact for our customer. Yes, it is sort of to an extent. Does a customer see our research? No, they don't, but they obviously benefit from our research. So it's going to have a high impact to our customer. And in terms of effort, there is a little bit of effort based on the research, because somebody has to actually physically do the research. So it is a very good impactful piece, but it also requires some effort. So with the plug and play, impact is great because that's a really cool feature within our current CRM that we use. And what's the effort to implement this feature? We're going to need to do some digging in, have a look at what we can do and what we can't do. And that is obviously going to allow us to move it into a sandbox environment and run some tests. So as you can see, while I'm talking, or whilst the individual is talking about that specific feature, you can, as a facilitator or your moderator, can run it across the effort line. So you obviously need to encourage your conversation firstly toward the customer. So how much of an impact it is to our customer, and then how much is it of an effort to the business to actually implement this. And then we get to a point where, okay, amazing, cool, that's all that we need to do. And then you drop the card. And then at the end of this activity, you see that oh, you've got cards that are lying within the section. And as a product manager, you can see, cool, these are my nice 3 key focus areas that I can use because they're high impact, also a little low effort within the sweet spot range that we can obviously use to leverage our touch to customer or leverage our business touch internally assist the business. So that's a very nice way to see impact versus effort on a nice graphed pegged view. So once we get to that point, we now know that choices equals commitment. So we've obviously made our choices, we've doc voted as a business, we've understood impact and effort. Now it comes down to the choices that we're going to make. Now we have to commit to them. So the facilitator takes the solutions within our sweet spot, within our donut area, and we basically take those solutions and we then unpack them even further. So in that case, we will take them and plot them across, and we'll say, cool, CX research towards WhatsApp for Business. What are our 3 key delivery items for this? And you'll probably see something very interesting here. So action steps should take at least 2 weeks or less to complete. So I'm sure most of us know sprint cycles, and this can obviously happen in conjunction with the currently running sprint cycle. So your product managers are working 2 steps ahead of your engineering team. And obviously they're doing the research behind the scenes to make sure that they can prep the work to come for the engineering team. So let's get back to this. So CX research towards WhatsApp for Business. And again, as a workshop committee, you get the opportunity to say, cool, the 3 key focus areas are, let's research the UX for WhatsApp for Business and let's see how that comes along. We need to also check our competitor offerings and see that our competitors, are they doing this? Are they not? If they are, we'd like to see it. And we'd also like to present back to the group within our 2-week stint that we're going to do. And that also can run for the chatbot that we spoke about, the example that we spoke about the chatbot. So we could assess the functionality and implementation mechanics. We can sort of build and run a test in the sandbox environment, and we can present back to the group. So as a product manager, this is almost prioritizing your features and making sure that it's visible to the stakeholders in the business, and highlighting the key areas that need to be focused on and delivered to back to the presentation back to the workshop group. And you'll see that this obviously gets you to a point where the workshop becomes very informative at this point, because you've understood your challenges, you've understood your risks, you've narrowed down your solution design, you've sort of unpacked that solution design a little bit, you've dot voted as a business, you've understood the business's heart and where it's at, you've gotten to the point where you plotted it across the impact and effort. And then you get to this point where you can now actually break down the solution and actually plug deliverables to this, so that within 2 weeks, the next iteration of this workshop can run, where you are now presenting the research, and you can obviously bring in the next steps. Cool, based on the research we've done, this is our competitor offering, and this is how we'd like to sort of position ourselves to the market. And this brings together that workshop concept of how you can get an amazing bunch of ideas, because that's always the business. So you have 1,000 ideas floating around. But this workshop sort of narrows down that idea stream, and it also makes sure that everybody within the business is on the same page. They understand from a product perspective what's coming from the product managers. Business analysts understand what they play within product and how they're going to be able to add value to the product manager and work in conjunction with the product manager and roll out these amazing features. And at the end of your 2-week It's usually a quick presentation back to the group, and you identify the next steps from that perspective, as to how you'd like to implement that in the business, whether you need another workshop run to ascertain those further key areas that you're going to focus on, whether you need stakeholder thumbs up or thumbs down sometimes in a case where after the research it's like a no-go zone for the business, and that's sort of the good insights that you need to get. And that's all, folks. So it seems like it's a lot to do within an hour, but that's because I'm presenting this to you, and I'm obviously deeper diving into each segment of this workshop. When you run this workshop, or when you run a workshop within your space, you obviously have the ability to control the room. So as a workshop facilitator, you need to make sure that the room is controlled, the temperature is good, everybody's happy. And you also have the ability to time people and make sure that things are done quickly. So you don't give people 2 hours to vote. You say, cool, your voting begins now, and you've got 30 seconds or 20 seconds to vote on the stickies on screen. And Miro offers amazing tools that you can use to control the timing and things like that. So yeah, that brings it almost toward the end of the workshop segment. And this was basically done on Miro, and I will pop this into, I'll pop a link to this Miro board into the chat, so that you guys have it available to you, which you can make use of. There's some nice quiet areas, work areas here at the bottom. So if you've got people that are a little bit of an introvert and they don't like to work on the actual sailboat image on the top right here, they can work in their little quiet area and make sure that they're obviously being a part of the workshop as well. Sometimes there are people that have that enjoy thinking on their own, but obviously you need to cultivate that very nice, exciting experience for everybody to enjoy the workshop. So yeah, that's about it. I hope I didn't rush through it, because I'm obviously looking at my time and making sure that everything was covered, but I'm happy to answer questions and share some answers, hopefully, to those questions. So Deb, I think over to you again.
Wow. Thank you so much, Darshan. That was a whole word of wisdom that you shared. And I'm very, very happy that you also agree that it seems like a lot. It's quite scary. Like, we have a lot of questions. I also can relate with some of the questions that we have here. And I think we'll take the first question first. That's from Larissa. Larissa would like to know how long this workshop, typically, how long should this workshop, should the kickoff workshop be? She says, should it be 2 hours? We'd like to know your view on that.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Larissa, and thanks for attending. So it's specifically around what you're trying to achieve. So if you're going into a product vision or product strategy workshop, and you're obviously working on a large product, you may want to keep it to a maximum of 2 hours. You don't want people to be disengaged, so you want to keep the hype or the excitement throughout that. I do think 2 hours though may just be a lot as well. So book 2 hours, but try and make it between 1.5. Well, your max be 1.5. Yeah, you don't want people falling asleep during your workshop. You want them to be super engaged. Yeah, and that obviously relates to the goal. So the goal of the meeting should be clear, and make sure that yeah, you don't overcompensate on the goal. Basically, just don't say we want to rethink or reimagine the entire business and try and do it in an hour. Obviously, it depends on what you're going to be workshopping. Cool.
Thank you so much, Darshan. Larissa. I hope we did justice to your question. If we didn't, please let us know so we can paraphrase and rephrase and just put it in a way that we could get the right answer for your question. Lisa Lube would like to know, how often do you go through this process as a product manager? Is this for a few new products only, or do you do this for major features?
Thanks, Liesel. That's quite a cool question. So yeah, it's done at this level for new products. So yeah, in my opinion, I would do this for new products. And for enhancements or feature development per product, I would sort of use a different workshopping approach, something along the lines of design thinking, to sort of like ideate quickly and prototype sort of that workshop pattern. It purely depends on the feature. So if it's very back end, sort of like accounting related feature, something that requires more of a business input, I would usually use an approach to get everybody into a room and work through the feature. But if it's more of a very creative feature, I'd use a design thinking approach. And yes, so there are different workshops that you can use for new products and major features or small enhancements to features. Yeah.
Thank you, Darshan. That was very, very clear. Lizzo, please let us know if we did justice to your question. Otherwise, would like to paraphrase and rephrase and restructure in a way that helps us to get the right answer for you. I'm very happy that you're happy with the answer. It's our pleasure. Okay, Lizard also wants to know, would you suggest spending more time on each of the steps for a first workshop or workshop attendees? Like, would you, kind of like a framework, would you say one is more important than the other? How would you allocate precedence and, time to each of the processes?
So again, on this question, it is sort like now, I think in this specific presentation that we've just done, it did seem like it was a lot because I was obviously explaining sort of each concept area. But in the real sense of things, if I had to run this workshop, I'd say that it'd take a maximum of an hour to run through this workshop specifically. Just make sure that as the workshop facilitator, you have your salient points, you're super clear on the goal that needs to be achieved by the business, and you're obviously pulling everyone towards themselves, because you don't want people to go off on a tangent. So that's where the timing comes in. So when you do dot voting, make sure that you spend 30 seconds on voting. As a facilitator, you allocate, cool, to know the problem, I want to allocate 10 minutes to the section alone. So try and make sure that you as the facilitator section out your times and you work according to those times. So as a facilitator, keep the timing on your computer and make sure that you're zooming everyone into the current section that you are at. And obviously, this is an 8-step process. You obviously just take out things that are going to be of value to you and your organization. So if the business has already set the goals, you will skip the goal part. And you'll obviously only move on to the challenges, or if you've already noticed challenges, you can obviously customize this, and that'll obviously take out the chunk of time as well. But try and keep it interactive, as interactive as possible, because it's always nice to engage with your workshop crowd.
Thank you so much, Darshan. That was quite deep and very clear. We have two more questions to take before we round up the session. If there are more questions coming in, we would send them over to you. I'll quickly take a question from Tishepo on the chat box. It says, "How much effort does it take to design this canvas?" I assume that you've answered that question already, but I just want you to reinforce that again for us to know. Plus minus.
Cool. Tepo, thanks for joining, and cool question. It's pretty easy to make up a template like this. Miro also offers you lots of workshopping templates to use, and you obviously customize that according to what you're trying to achieve. You can build a template literally within 30 minutes. So you don't have to have any experience on the software. It's drag and drop, and you'll be happily sailing away. So good luck to you.
Well, thank you so much. And our last question for this session. It says, does this workshop assume, that's from Orchard Classes, does this workshop assume that you have considered business case already for effort investment to come?
Cool, that is quite a nice, interesting question. So it depends on what your workshop goal is, again. So if your workshop goal is to assess a certain product and obviously build on that product with an attached business case to it already, and in that case you could have done a lean business canvas, like as a product manager, business analyst, just to make it clear to the business that these are the areas that we're focusing on. That's always a nice to have. But in this specific case, this workshop was on an assumption that it was a brand new product. We are coming together as a business. We don't have a business case. We're sort of looking at the current business challenges, and we want to sort of unpack that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Wow, Darshan, we have to say thank you, a very big thank you to you. We have feedbacks already coming in. Guys, please feel free to post your feedback, your experience, what you think of this workshop on LinkedIn and our social media handles. We have Elsie said, I like the workshop tool Darshan is using. I'm glad he's going to share this with us. Please, everyone is looking forward to you sharing, Darshan. I really like this. This is from Lisa. I can imagine something how useful it can be in my job, especially running remote workshop. Thank you very much for sharing. We have a lot of comments that will be pulling up again in a little while, and I think we all agree to the fact that this was a really, really superb workshop. It's an investment into our career, into our life, and we are very, very, very grateful to you for your time, for the effort you have put into preparing this. We are grateful, and you should look out for us on LinkedIn. We're going to come after you. And yes. Again, guys, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for honoring the invite. Please feel free to contact Darshan again on LinkedIn. We also want you to consider joining our volunteer community. It's an amazing community. You don't even want to think about it. It offers support to you. It offers, a learning community, and it's very much like family, where you can actually shout out. We do mentoring. We also help with, if you require someone at your work to help, you have a position at your place of work, or you're looking for an opportunity. It's the list is endless of what you can. Yes, and Nehal wants to know how to join. Lara, would you want to take that up, Lara, or
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll get the link for you guys now. 1 second.
All right. All right. Okay. Lara, Lalita, is there anything that you would like to say before we bring the session to a close?
I'd just like to say, Darshan, thank you very much for an awesome session, friend. And Deborah, thank you so much for facilitating. You did a fantastic job. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us. The recording will be put up on YouTube, probably maybe next week sometime. And we will share all the links that Darshan has to the Mara boards, etc., with you guys as well. I'm not sure how we do that. We'll probably put it up on the LinkedIn, on the IRBA SA LinkedIn page for you guys. And if we haven't got to any questions, we will also put those up on the LinkedIn page. If you want to volunteer, you can drop an email to this email address. Let me just check if that's correct. Yep. And if you are interested in becoming a member of the IRBA, you could go to the website, which I'm going to put in the chat there, and you can join from there. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Darshan.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. It was amazing. I hope I was able to add a little bit more to you.
Thanks, Darshan. It was really, really cool. Just wanted to add to what everyone else has already shared. Besides joining as a volunteer, if you have any topics that you would like to discuss and would like to present, you can drop us a message as well. Or if there's anything that you are interested in that you would like us to try and get more information on, please do message us on the email address that Lara shared.
The durban@southafrica.irba.org. And that'll come through to me, so just send an email.
Yeah. And if you want to join as a volunteer, we also have a WhatsApp group, so join us. We're quite friendly. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Bye.